I will do it with my very ugly English. Sorry about that. So it's my first presentation in English, and I'm really glad to see a lot of people because there is a workshop about almost algebraic effect, and so it's very nice to see people to watch a presentation about about how to craft IDE for the most beautiful mainstream language, which is OCaml. So I'm Xavier van de Woestijn. I try to use Twitter, and I have a very serious website, xvw.lol. And I work at Tarides. So our goal is to make critical systems better. So we are involved into a lot of projects. So for example, we are working on SpaceOS, which is a very small operating system for satellite, on MirageOS, which allows to have virtualization for free using unikernel, relying on the powerful module system of OCaml. We are working on the OCaml compiler, the ecosystem, and the platform and the tooling. Irmin, which is a CRDT database, and Dune, which is a build system. So it looks like we are working only on OCaml, but in fact, we are working in general purpose language, and for every project we try to find the perfect language that fit to the project, and currently it's always OCaml, but we are open to work on a lot of different stuff. So for example, if you want to write a CLI, we can make Rust consultancy and stuff like that. I work especially in the editor team, so we have a small team inside the platform pillar dedicated to working on editor integration. It is my first experience on working on concrete tooling, and my goal in this presentation is to present a very nice adventure about Merlin, which is the legacy server for IDE service in the OCaml ecosystem, and the implementation of OCaml LSP server. So I had some question about do we need to understand OCaml to understand the presentation? And no, I don't think there is a lot of OCaml code, and the main idea is to speak about developer experience, user experience, and stuff like that. And it's also a nice way to have conversation with people that use language that looks like OCaml to see how they deal with some pain point that we had integrating OCaml LSP server. So what is OCaml? Yeah, my slides are pretty bad, but it's also my speaker note, so I have to put all of the text on my slideshow. So OCaml, it's an ML language with a strict evaluation strategy. It's functional and imperative with a powerful type system, with ADTs and GADTs, and also row polymorphism, with what we call a principal type inference algorithm, with an advanced module system, with OOP that introduces structural subtyping, and user-defined effect as a core language feature. It's important to having a powerful module system is very nice when you try to write software, but when you have to deal with tooling, it can become very complicated. And it's a cousin of Scala, because if I have to reduce Scala in just one sentence, I can just say that it's a strict functional imperative language with ADT and almost GADTs, with a semi-interesting object model, without module and without user-defined effect. And I forgot to start my timer. I'm a professional speaker. Yes, sorry for my slide, but there is sometimes there is some schema, and it's what I say which is important and not what is on the screen. So here is a very small plan. So we first start with a very small conversation about what are language server, with a very naive editor timeline. After that, we will speak about Merlin. We'll try to understand the basic workflow. And after that, we'll speak about LSP. And it's not a technical presentation, but my goal is to go into two implementation details, some very interesting feature of Merlin. And after that, we will conclude and have a small conversation about what we want to do in the future for the best IDE, for the best language of the world. And in fact, it's very nice to have conversation with people that use a statically functional type language, because we can maybe steal some IDE from your community, and I hope that you will probably steal some IDE from our community. So the first, I've started writing code using Notepad, not Notepad++, just Notepad. And for me, the best feature of NADA was to have to maintain the tabulation because in the Microsoft Notepad, everything come back to the beginning of the line. But after trying to write more and more code, I discovered some key feature that made editor tooling nice. So it's totally subjective, but to have a good support for editing and highlighting and code folding, for example, to improve productivity with completion, some specific tools, and maybe making refactoring available. To have smart and quick feedbacks. I know that, for example, if people use LSP on Scala, sometimes one on the pay point, so to deal with metal with less than 1 second, it's a little bit complicated, so being quick can be nice. To have some tool to make project orchestration and management available. To ease the project discovering. For example, I was working for a bank and the whole code base was written in Kotlin, which is Scala for children. And when I start to deep dive into the project, coworker told me that you should give up with Emacs, install IntelliJ because you can jump to definition and the support, the ID support is far better and you can understand the new code base using a proprietary tools which request a lot of RAM. So this is what we expect, being able to discover a new project and return valid information because if people try to write some C++ using Eclipse, for example, you can have a fake diagnostic saying that oh, it doesn't work for that reason, and it's not that reason. So here is a naive editor timeline. So I think that everything starts really with configurable text-based editors. So we have Emacs, Vim, and I put Acme because Merlin has a Acme support from day one. I don't know why. Acme is the text editor from Plan 9, but it was supported. And so after that, we have also full specialized IDE that are very powerful, but sometimes the protocol is hidden into a proprietary software, and it's hard to make a dedicated tool outside of the scope of the IDE. So for example, IntelliJ is extremely good for JVM-based language or for .NET-based language, but if you try to write OCaml with IntelliJ, I know that some people try to do it, but it's complicated because the protocol was not designed for that kind of language. And we have, for me, a kind of text ID that looks like Emacs and Vim ID, but with abstraction over syntax. So for example, Kate, TextMate, and Sublime Text introduce generic code folding and a way to abstract over syntax and give some tool using monoidal parsing. And after that, we have VS Code. So VS Code is a very powerful tool that can deal with a lot of scenario and that try to generalize the way that we interact between an IDE and a language. And the way of interaction is called LSP for Language Server Protocol. And with some extension about abstraction over syntax, they design tree-seater that can abstract over syntax representation with partial parsing and code folding. So for me, it's a little bit sad to say that we try to give up with Microsoft every year, and we decide to trust them to make a very full generic protocol, but in fact, it works. And it works well. So we have a new generation of kind of IDE like NeoVim, Helix, and Z that support out-of-the-box tree-seaters and LSP. So we have a generic way to deal with IDE. And it was really adopted. So all tools try to deal with LSP and tree-seater. So for example, in the last version of Emacs, Iglot, which is the default client of LSP, is available out of the box. But LSP comes in 2016, and in fact, Merlin was released in 2013, so before LSP. And so LSP for Language Server Protocol, we can ask one question: what is a language server? And in fact, from my point of view, it's just a daemon that receives text buffer and user queries, and then react. So the global architecture of Merlin was extremely well documented into the paper Merlin, a language server for OCaml, expert report. It was in 2018 at ECFP, and it described how Merlin works and why is Merlin so interesting. Because in 2013, IDE support were not very well developed, and in fact, for me, when I start using Merlin, I was very impressed because I had a lot of very interesting features, and I will try to cover it during this presentation. So here is the basic workflow. So we have a build system that interacts with the compiler and then product build artifact on the disk. And we interact on our editor. We send buffer and request to a client that invoke, that requests the daemon, and that use build artifact to give some feedback. If you see that, we can already see that. So yes, the language server is, especially in Merlin, introduce incremental and partial language frontend. So it's the parser and the type checker. So incremental, it means that it will recompute only change part, and partial, it will deal with missing of or wrong part, because if, for example, you are currently writing something, your buffer is probably not valid because you are currently writing an expression, and you don't want to have an editor that is full-blown and say that, oh, I cannot type check that because you are currently writing something. And so how does it work? In fact, in Merlin, we are vendoring the compiler, and we try to adapt the tools to the existing toolchain of OCaml. So everything is making pure or backtrackable. We use a pure lexer, pure parser, and we have the capabilities to make some error recovery in parsing error. And so how does it work? We fake data. So since we have fully inferred language, we have some strong knowledge about types, and so we can produce a kind of type holes that are hide to the user, but that can still make the buffer type checkable. So having purity, and this was one of the main features of Haskell, unlock memorization for incrementability. So it's very nice, and we can be very efficient. And in fact, the paper is, from my point of view, very interesting for people that are interested into parsing, because it describes a lot of cool application of using LR parser that hold a lot of static information and a lot of information about the grammar. And so, for example, we can have error recovery, error message, multi-grammar, because in OCaml there is also another language which is, I guess, not really used, called ReasonML, but you can use Merlin to deal with ReasonML syntax. And you can have emulation of some kind of GLR grammar in specific context. Okay? But here we can see that we have a very huge bottleneck, the client, because we have a language server that just deals with, in Merlin, it was binary information, but now it's JSON. And we have to write a client for every used language. At the beginning, it was very, very simple because we can just support Vim and Emacs, and it was okay, but now people use different editors. So it was complicated. And to be honest, when I joined Tarides, there was no people that wrote any Emacs plugin in the editor team. And people that write Vim plugin were not part of the editor team. So it was always negotiation. We make a new feature and you ask to your coworker, please, can you take some of your free time to make the feature available in Vim or Emacs? So it's a huge bottleneck, and it can be complicated, and we can define the fact that LSP is a very good idea, normalizing protocol interaction. Because we can have a lot of clients, and it can be very cumbersome. This is why LSP is useful. But LSP, it's absolutely not perfect, but it gives better default. So for me, when you start with Vim or Emacs, you at least have some syntactic highlighting. For example, when I was younger, I tried to go to the language programming language page on Wikipedia and try to make a brainfuck interpreter in every language with a free compiler. And it was nice to always have an Emacs mode to make syntax highlighting available. So editors like Vim and Emacs and probably Acme are pretty good for having at least syntax highlighting. So Sublime Text Kit and TextMate are very good for syntax highlighting and grammar manipulation, so code folding. And proprietary or badly implemented IDE are complicated protocol. You have a lot of information and a lot of diagnostics tools, but yeah, I don't like them. And LSP, you have out of the box, if the server is properly implemented, you have syntax highlighting, obviously, autocomplete, jump to definition. You can have int and over, so a lot of visual information. You can have some kind of project management. You can have advanced search. So, for example, search by occurrence, search by regex, and stuff like that. And in fact, it gives a proper way to deal with parallel requests because it's not implemented by people behind the LSP server, it's implemented inside the client, so it's very efficient. And you have a notion of capabilities, so you can deal with, okay, I have a server that can deal with that kind of feature and you can extend it. So for me, the basis that you have when you just support the main feature of LSP is slightly better than just having Vim with a language mode or a plugin on Sublime Text, for example. So for me, it made sense. But it was a big migration. When we start to think about the migration, a lot of people say it will be trivial. You just use what we have done in Merlin, and it will work out of the box. But in fact, we have a lot of features that are really hard to make it enter into the LSP protocol, and I will show them. And there is also a kind of user perspective sociology, because Emacs, OCaml is a very old language with people that have habits. And so, for example, we have Merlin that came in 2013, but a lot of people still use just the Tuareg mode with just syntax highlighting, saying that, yes, but IDE features are not really useful. And I know that people that use Merlin, like me, can be a little bit conservative. Say that, yes, but if you change my IDE habits, I will probably never move to a new feature. So we have to maintain Merlin, every client for Merlin, and LSP, and every subutilities for LSP. So it's complicated to have a nice migration. So we will see every feature, and we know that in VS Code and in LSP, we have some way to deal with uncommon behavior. So using code action that are just contextual trigger lab action on the document. So in some context, it can be triggered. And custom request. So custom request is just a way to send a message to a server LSP and say that the client will deal with that, with the return. So in fact, custom requests need specific implementation. So instead of having a dedicated client, you have new set of dedicated clients that deal with requests. So you cannot just have just one part of the code and say, okay, now we have LSP, you can do what you want. We still have to maintain the implementation of every custom request. So it's still a small bottleneck. So the first feature that I will cover is type and documentation. The resolution is not very huge, but when you use VS Code, you can have type information using int, and using what we call an over provider, we can give some information like the documentation. And in fact, it's perfectly supported by the IDE, because I think that one of the main reasons of Microsoft to write TypeScript was to have good completion and good information about IntelliSense. And so it's extremely well supported into VS Code and so into LSP, so it's very nice. And since OCaml give a lot of interest into types, it's nice to have types information. From my point of view, I think it's maybe a little bit too much verbose, but I understand that people like that. So the second part is about case analysis and construct expression. When we are dealing with a statically typed language, we can have some speculation about potential values. So we have two features. The first one is case analysis. So we can enumerate interactively case of a match expression, which is very useful. It's called destruct. And so you can use it interactively, a little bit like if you try to resolve some goal into a proof assistant. But since type are less powerful than in Coq or Agda, it's a little bit limited, but it works. And we can see that, in fact, we generate pattern using all, it's the underscore, and we have the image of the destruct function, which is the construct function that can construct an expression given a context. So here is a second low resolution GIF that display the way that we can construct an expression. You see that it's a construct? Very nice. And it's available using code action and also using completion. So for example, for destruct, we use the code action. And for destruct and for construct, we can use the code action or we can use completion because if we try to complete an underscore, it will suggest the case that we have in our construct set to generate the code. Okay? So nice. And here we still do not need to have any client implementation. LSP can handle that. So it's very nice. So open refactoring. So I said that in OCaml we have a very powerful language, and we can. I think that it's very close that you have when you try to have import, you can refactor your importation. Here it's a little bit more limited, but you can just say, okay, I want to open some stuff and just restrict the path, taking the scope in account. So it's also perfectly available using a collection. Source navigation. So in Merlin, we have 3 ways to deal with source navigation. The first one is just to jump to the prev or next phrase. By phrase, I mean top-level expression, so top-level function. So switch from implementation to interface, because in OCaml you always have 2 files, one for the specification, the second one for the implementation, which is very nice because you can rely on type inference when you write your implementation, and after that restrict some inference just using concrete signature. And you can jump into different nodes into the parse tree. So for example, if you are into an expression, for example a match expression, you can go back to the beginning of the match and you can jump from let and fun and modules. So everything is available using code action, so it's very nice. But we face a first issue. It pollutes the code action menu. So for example, in the LSP, you can just have a list of code action, but you cannot nest it or group it. So for example, if I want to be able to jump from let, module, and match, it introduces 4 parts on the contextual menu, which is very huge. And for example, we are working with a very big financial company that have some way to navigate in the code more precise that we are exposing into Merlin, and they told us, yeah, but it's not, it cannot work because we need to have 10 new entry into the code action menu, and it's too much. So it's not nice, and we need to move to a custom request. So we have a custom request that can perform the code navigation from fun, let, module, and match, but we need to implement it concretely into every client. Very sad, no? So outlines and code structures. So in fact, it works well for regular OCaml code. It understanding the way that expressions are nested. But there is some very precise semantic about what is a document. And people behind LSP think that every language look like TypeScript. So they say that, okay, everything should be a class, and you can have just one level of nesting in class. You cannot have function inside function, because, in fact, you can have it in TypeScript because of Fotaro and stuff like that, but yeah, I don't understand why they say that, okay, we can have a static list of outlines, and you cannot configure them. So at the beginning, I was saying that, okay, we have a list of symbol, document symbol, and we can maybe hack it. No, we can't, which is very sad. Yeah, and in fact, assuming that all languages are TypeScript-like is very, very sad, because TypeScript is a very uncommon language with a type language which is very complicated and with a lot of stuff that nobody understands. But it's a decision of people from LSP. So, and this specific feature is for me the most interesting. It's the type enclosing feature. So I said that we love to deal with types when we are writing OCaml, but you have some complicated feature of type system, like type abbreviation, type abstraction, and stuff like that. And so, for me, it's one of the main features of Merlin, and this is why I cannot work without Merlin when I have to write OCaml. And every time I move to a new language and I use a new IDE, I was always sad about lack of type enclosing feature. And it's the way that, for example, let's imagine this very simple code that do nothing very interesting. We start defining a type, T, with a result, an integer, it's a record, and a flag job done. And we have a f function, and we will fold a list of integer represented as a string, and we will produce a sum. And after that, we wrap the result into our extremely useful type T with result, and we define a variable result that perform f, that apply 10 on f, and so we should have the type of result should be T. Are we all agree with that? Nice. But so if I look up the type of result, I will have the result as type T, which is understandable because we have the type definition, but let's imagine that you are dealing with a lot of modules. So that, okay, you are using, for example, action.make that return an action.t, and you are not especially aware about what is action.t. So sometimes we want to deal with verbosity of type expression. So yeah, outside of the module, it's hard to guess what reality is. So if T is abstract, there is no issue about that. We can keep in mind that it's abstract, but sometimes it's not abstract. Sometimes we have just type aliases and stuff like that. So it's complicated to guess what is really typed. And so we give a feature that if we recall type enclosing on the same expression, it will increase the verbosity. And so if I recall that, I will probably have result type T equal result int job done bool. So for me, it's very useful. And it works with module, object, and stuff like that. So for example, you can expand the full definition of a module and having a specification of the module just making the verbosity growing. And sometimes we can say that, okay, I put my cursor on this position and I want to have the tip of this function, but in fact, I want the tip of the full expression. So we can try to deal with selection, but with Emacs, cursor is not properly supported. So we want to have the ability to grow and shrink observable enclosings. So for example, let's start with list.foldLeft. It returns the type, it takes a function with an accumulator and a current value, and it returns an accumulator. It's just a fold, regular fold function. But in fact, I want to have some information about the usage of foldLeft. So I can, using in Emacs, it's mx up, I can grow the enclosing and go to this expression, and it gives me the fact that the function is a function that takes an int and a string return an int as a first value, and a string list, and it returns an int. So it's the specialized version, it's the contextual usage of foldLeft and not the generic representation of foldLeft. But we can still grow and know the full expression as just the type int, and we can also shrink. But we can continue, and here the z expression has the type T, and we can deal with verbosity to see what is really our type T. And you can continue, and at the end we have f, which has the type int arrow T. Here is an example. How does it look in Emacs? So we can increase the verbosity, and we can deal with the enclosing. And in fact, the feature looks a little bit a detail of implementation, but it's very useful. And when you deal with a lot of type definition, because in OCaml, you are very encouraged to write a lot of types and stuff like that, it's extremely useful. And dealing with enclosing can be very nice to see refactoring opportunities and stuff like that. And in fact, that specific custom request is extremely complicated to implement it into LSP because you need a custom request, but you also need a stateful management on the client side. So it's not just dealing with HTTP requests to the server and sending buffer modifications, stuff like that. You have to manage a state on the LSP client side, which, from my point of view, can be a little bit cumbersome. In fact, yeah, I think that LSP is a little bit like tagless final. It makes a lot of stuff very simple, but some stuff very complicated. So yes, we need to have dedicated client to handle custom requests. So for me, it's not a huge victory because you still have to need to manage a lot of dedicated implementation of LSP client. So instead of start writing, it's Facebook. It's a PHP developer. Instead of implementing every custom request, introducing test suite, CI, and stuff like that, we start implementing a very single custom request, which was called a tunneling request that can just take the flag that we will give to Merlin and return using the whole Merlin protocol. And it's a way to compose with every new feature in Merlin that are still not available as a custom request. And in fact, it was used recently by Neovim when it was not documented because it was for a client at the beginning, but someone make an exploration into the Merlin protocol and find the tunnel request. I use it to make some new feature available in the Neovim. And after that, we can implement every custom request and try to implement every client implementation. Currently, every time we introduce a new custom request, we introduce the implementation inside VS Code, but our goal is to start offering canonical implementation for Vim and Emacs to try to expose the way that we are currently writing client, and people will contribute to making LSP available in their own favorite editor. And we are currently working on this quarter about that canonical implementation. And yes, another thing which is very nice, I see a talk at Devoxx when people say if you need to have an UI-based software, instead of using Electron, because Electron is very greedy, you can use VS Code, which is already using Electron, but it already launched, and you can just make plugin inside VS Code, and you have a very rich way to make UI. But in fact, it's surprisingly, sorry, it's very hard to extend properly. So for example, currently we are trying to, you can put CSS attribute on some stuff, and if you add a semicolon at the end, you can add new CSS attribute, and so we have to deal with over, trigger, and target to make contextual information. So it's very hard, and yes, VS Code is not easy to extend, and it's a little bit sad because it's the full goal of the IDE is to be written in a web technology to be easy to extend, and in fact, no, it's very complicated. So now I think that we can move on the interesting part. We will show two implementation details about Merlin, just because the talk was not very technical. No, 16 minutes. And so for me, it's where the fun begins. And I think that kind of feature that make Merlin very powerful with type enclosing. But it's two new features that were shipped into the last release of Merlin. So the first one is project-wide occurrences. So people that use IntelliJ are maybe familiar with the fact that you can search for an identifier and it will be displayed into your full project. And it's something that looks easy to implement. I think that in IntelliJ, they use the conjunction of regular expression and introspection reflection. In OCaml, we have every type at the compile time, so it's complicated to use reflection. And it's hard to use regex because we can have type abbreviation and stuff like that. And we'll see something that, well, yes, the goal is just to return every usage of the selected identifier across all of the project source file. And in fact, it's, from my point of view, extremely hard to achieve that feature in presence of a powerful module system and separate compilation. So it's extremely well documented into this paper, Module Shape for Modern Tooling. And this is why during when I speak about the talk with other people, I said that I think that I will give a real use case of lambda calcul, because when we start to try to write Camel as scalar Scala, a lot of people told us that category theory is very important to be a good Scala developer, which is a false statement. But a lot of people say if you don't understand lambda calcul, you will probably never be a good functional programmer, which is, from my point of view, also false, because it's more easy to understand lambda calcul after writing software in a functional programming language. And I think that except for some very specific encoding, you never really use lambda calcul in your daily work. But when you are trying to achieve some tooling support, you from my point of view, you have to rely on some very known abstraction. And here, I guess that we have a real usage of simply type lambda calcul to resolve project-wide occurrences. So in a very small word, OCaml module system support aliases includes and functors. So not in the categorical sense or linguistic sense, but we can have module that take module as an argument and that produce a new module. It's function in the module level, and they can also be higher order. So we can have a module that take a module as an argument, and make the lookup for definition very complicated. So I start with a very unusual example. We start with a type definition, a module type definition that say I want to have at least a value of x that has a type int, and I create this not very useful functor identity that take a module named x that need to have the type s, and that will return its identity function, so it's alpha from alpha. So I take a module and I return it. It's just for the purpose of having a very complicated example. And after that, I have a simple module that exposes two functions, x and y. Y is a boolean, but x is an integer, so it fits with the type signature s, because modules are structurally subtypes. And I have this very complicated function, apply, that use an higher order functor, that take a first module id, which should be a functor, that take a function of type s, and return a new module with the type s. So since the name is id, we can guess that identity is a perfect fit for this argument. And after that, another module, which is x, that need to have the type s, and that will be included after the application of the id functor inside our module. Apply. Nice. And after that, because it's nice to have something very complicated, we use a module alias, which is an alias of simple. And we have our module m, which is the application of identity and alias. And now I have a very simple function y, which is m.x. And now the main question is, where is the definition of x? And it's a little bit complicated. So, okay, m is the result of applying apply. Nice. We go to apply, and we look up the apply functor, and say, okay. Okay, x comes from the application of id. Okay, nice. id is a parameter. Let's go to the initial definition. So apply identity. Okay, let's move on to identity. Boom. Okay, so it's the parameter of the function identity, and we return the parameter. It's the identity function. Very nice. So it's x. So let's come back to our application, to the second argument of our application. And here we have alias. Let's go alias. Alias is an alias of simple. Okay. Which is an alias for simple. And poof, we finally find our definition. It's very complicated. And to have an efficient way to deal with that kind of way to interact with the module system, it's very complicated. So we try to achieve that using something very simple. We introduce a new build artifact called shapes. And the goal is to store the path that we're trying to reach to find definition. And in fact, it's just the form of very simple type lambda calculus with product, and where terms are shape. And we associate unique identifier to be able to look up properly the value. So we have a very simplified representation of the different constructor of our lambda calcul with some subtleties, struct and projection. And for example, if you want to represent the module M, so the application of identity and alias, it's just this representation, but it can be automated by a tool. It's the goal of indexation of shape. And since it's an implicitly typed lambda calcul, because in fact, module language of OCaml is a different module, which is a very simple system F omega that can deal with cert and Eiger candidate polymorphism. For people that say that there is no Eiger candidate polymorphism in OCaml, they were wrong, hein, Christophe? But you can, module terms are properly type checked by the compiler. And since it's a lambda calcul, we have some reduction rules. And in fact, it's the usual reduction rules of simply typed lambda calcul. I go a little bit faster because I'm reached of the end of my time. And using that, we can just apply a reduction strategy. So the first implementation of the reduction strategy was very interesting. It was merged into the compiler, and after that, before the release, we have a CI that runs on every OCaml package to see that does it work properly. And in fact, it was not working properly because of three specific projects. IRMIN, which is a database that made a heavy usage of functor to abstract over data type. Preface, which is a categorical abstract library that deal with, especially in the arrow world and the profunctor world, with a lot of functor, and OCaml graph, which is an highly configurable graph library that can deal with, but sometimes can take 10 high-order functor as an argument. So it blew totally the stack, and it was not usable. So we have a new paper that come, because it's really hard to solve full reduction in presence of separate compilation, because if you reduce everything, you lose separate compilation, which is not very nice. And so it was extremely well documented into an OCaml use of strong call by need reduction. And it's interesting to say that it's an OCaml use, because usually strong call by need reduction are just useful for proof assistant. So there is a lot of blah blah that say that just it's very complicated in presence of separate compilation. And the last feature is search by type. So we said that discovering a new code base is very complicated, and sometimes we went to understanding the architecture and finding module and function. For understanding architecture, we can use find occurrences or jump to definition. We can find module using ocaml.org and the search bar, or just the manual, but how to find function? So we can find function in existing code base using two approaches. The first one is from, it's taken from Pharo. You can search function by example. So saying that, okay, if I OCaml and after that I have the uppercase version of OCaml, Pharo will return function that look like that kind of application. And you can find the function by types, like with Google in the Haskell world. We are functional programmer that trust in type. We will go for this implementation, and in fact, type are a very good specification tool. So it was a very desired feature, because the first issue about that was in 2015. We learned a lot of implementation that were almost totally broken. And in fact, I discovered in this specific ticket that there is a feature not documented in Merlin, which was called search by polarity. So search by polarity is the fact that we can express every function into a type parameter, a type constructor with two parameters, A and B, where A is contravariant and B is covariant. So we can make very simple algebra just using addition and subtraction to have a way to compute a score and a very small distance between types. So for example, a function that takes a string and return an int will be flagged as a minus string plus int. A function that takes a float and return an int, and I was a little bit fun because I reverse it's plus int because it returns an int, but it's minus float, and we can have we always have just one input, one input, and a list of input. So dealing with that, we can have some precise search, but it was very complicated because there is no support of parametric polymorphism. So for example, if you want to have the function string that return an int option, so for example, int from string, but you have to write a minus string plus option. So it's not very useful in a language that supports a variety of parametric polymorphism. But it gives a nice proof that Merlin can fold definition, which was very nice. So during the time, we have that two tools very interesting. The first one was dosing that perform real unification, so it's extremely precise, but it's too much precise, so you cannot discover function. It gives just equivalent function modulo isomorphism. So it's not nice to discover new feature, but instead to say that those two functions are equivalent. And there is Charlodoc that can find every definition in every open package and perform a search by type. It was from a coworker, and it was very easy to implement. The complicated part was the way that the indexation was done. Because since there is a lot of packages, they use suffix tree with the polarity as an index, so you can reach in the precise way, and after that perform a very complicated computation. And we integrated inside Merlin without the indexation part, because we already has the ability to fold every value, and we be a little bit more smart about the way that we represent type parameters. So we give a standard representation for query and OCaml type, and we can convert one-to-one. We normalize type parameters, so for example, making alpha, arrow, beta isomorphic to C, arrow, D. And after that, we create a list of paths and we compute distance with specific heuristics. So for example, for term constructor, we use a Damaro-Levenstein distance, which is a distance of Levenstein that deals with typo. And we relax the distance is some precise case. So for example, to be able to consider tuple and two arguments are just without a big penalty because it looks like it's the same function. We use, after that, we have a list of lists, so we have a matrix, and we can use a stable marriage algorithm on that matrix to find the perfect fit and the perfect score. And after that, we have a score, and we can give some feedback. We had some developer experience tools, so we can generate a constructible expression in order to be able to fit with Merlin construct that I showed at the beginning of the presentation. And here is a very small presentation. We can use Merlin search, and if, for example, I search for a string that return an int option, and I have a very reasonable sorted list of functions that are available in the project scope. And I can use, for example, here I want to find the list map function, but I use foo and bar instead of alpha and beta, and I swap the order because map takes the function first and the list second. Here I take the list first, and I still have map as the first result, so it's very nice. And we can have more precise query using underscore dot something precise. And we reach the end. To conclude, working on IDE is very fun and you should try it. LSP is a good default, but it's very, as usual, when Microsoft do something, it's correct, but not very nice. But it's a nice, So we probably should make some issue on VS Code and LSP to say we are not agree with your design, but you don't do it because you are very shy. And so we are working on project query naming, the canonical implementation of Glycan. We are very open to contribution, feedback, and recs. And our dream is to have a refactoring engine based on beta reduction and more interactive feature. And that's it. Thank you very much. Do you have any questions? I guess that we do not have the time, so we can speak about that after.